Hello, this is week 5 of the 13-week fiscal program for American Descendants of Slavery. I am Chief Biko. Today we have Chief Alligator, Chief Quiet Water, and Chief Black Coat. Today we're going to have Chief Quiet Water start with the 12 steps. And pretty much here we focus more so on the first letter of the acronym ADOS, which is A, which stands for American. Go ahead, Chief Quiet Water, with 12 steps.
All right. All righty. So step number 1, learn about the estate or estates your family originated from. Number 2, who established that estate. Number 3, what nation and confederacy had jurisdiction over that area prior to the European. Number 4, ask all nonprofit organizations you attend, what's your position on reparations? Number 5, they either support it or they don't. No support, no money. However, if they support it, then immediately children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3, and field trips to ADOS landmarks in that city, county, and state. Number 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. Number 7, avoid spending money with any small business that doesn't hire your people, gas stations, nail salons, subways. Number 8, all businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American Black businesses. Number 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends of making other groups follow our lead and support our clubs, services, products, and entertainment. Number 10, the US government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money, i.e. quantitative easing. It also burns money, i.e. quantitative tightening. The US dollar has been backed by gold since Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American descendants of slavery no longer have faith in the US government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. Number 11, teach your kids 1 hour a day about their history of this land. Have them learn about a Black inventor. Have them know about our heroes. They should know the European that conquered the estate they live in. They should know the nation of people prior to European invasion militarily and culturally. Number 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we're claiming America and attaches us to the history and laws of the US government. Every state Americans, descendants of slavery, live in should have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. This in 13 weeks, 1 fiscal quarter will bring us together for our common cause.
Thank you, Chief Quiet Water. Did you want to go ahead and knock out the quote as well, and then I'll take okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to do quote number 6. Leadership is usually superimposed for the purpose of directing the course of the ostracized group along the same lines. This was accomplished during the days of slavery by restricting the assembly of Negroes to certain times and places and compelling them to meet in the presence of a stipulated number of wisest and discreetest men of the community. These supervisors of the conduct of Negroes would prevent them from learning the truth, which might make them unruly or ambitious to become free.
Great quote.
Man,
Great
I'm
quote.
just hearing Congressional Black Caucus. Let me stop.
So setting the tone for how week 5 gonna go. I like it. I'll go ahead and read off the legal definitions. Number 1 is American, is a native of America. Number 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, POW, person, usually a soldier who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. And number 6, education, an enlightening experience. Next, we're going to have Chief Alligator read the maroon points.
Okay, these are the maroon historical points. Number one, was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law? Number two, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number three, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number four, maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. Number five, maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans.
Excellent. And last but not least, Chief Black Coat with the Inventor.
Yes, sir. So today's inventor is going to be Alexander Miles. Alexander was born in Circleville, Ohio. Born May 18th, 1835. Died May 7th, 1918. He is patented. He is known for, he has the U.S. patent for the improvement of the automatic door openings to the elevator. So he's the reason why the elevator door opens and closes by itself with accuracy. He improved it and continued to update it. The U.S. patent number is 371207, and he was issued that patent October 11th, 1887.
Excellent. So we credit him for the elevator door.
Yep, automatically opening and closing of elevator doors.
Perfect, perfect.
What was that date of the patent again?
He got issued the patent on October 11th, 1887.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question for Chief Blackcoat.
Yes,
What percentage of that industry does our group of people own and control?
I did not find that, but if we can go by how today's look, probably 0%. You know, that family probably gets no type of payment or residuals coming out of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So another invention by our people that we are not reaping the benefits.
Yeah, smart brother, good looking brother.
Before we get started into the Moultrie Creek Treaty, Article 5, I did want to bring up something here. Let me pull it up here on my page. Make sure I have it up here first. All right. All right. From the Constitution. Now, this is in Article 1, Section 10. It says, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law or law impairing the obligation of contracts or grant any title of nobility. So pretty much what I just read here is that no treaty shall be entered into. So nothing shall be contracted unless in regards to any contract between nations, as far as any type of monetary compensation, only thing that would be considered monetary would be gold and silver. We know from, I believe it was Article 4, maybe Article 4 or 3, we'll go back, but we saw that they were making payments to our people in the form of debt notes, in the form of that paper money. So just reading this, that should have made that treaty null and void, since even in their own writing, things, nothing but gold and silver would be considered monetary compensation. So we can see here how they are pretty much established their, you could say, straw man by having them accept this as form of payment, when this is something that they would take if they were making this deal with France or another type of European nation or a nation in general. So you can see how they were already manipulating our people into pretty much getting into a bad deal.
Can I, what's today's date?
Today is August 8th.
Okay, 2021. I want to ask a couple of questions to all of us as a group. Is Bitcoin money according to the Constitution?
Not at all.
No.
How about American Express, MasterCard, Discover, or Visa credit cards?
Nope.
So we see how they've moved us off of what constitutional money is, right?
Right.
Can y'all see this?
Yep.
These are 2 ounces of silver. Gold and silver are sold, and this is going to sound very familiar, an eighth, 1/16, ounces, and kilos. So I wanted that to be seen to the world so that we can understand in 2021, what we're given is fiat currency. Anybody got a $1 note or any type of currency nearby? Fiat. What we're thinking today is that is money and that can pay off a debt. But according to the Constitution, the only thing that can pay off debt is either gold or silver. So we are in make-believe world. Anybody else want to build on that?
I mean, again, it's here in black and white. Nothing is hidden from us at all.
And it's kind of like they never wanted to do real business with the natives. So we're going to go ahead and put you on this system so we can deal in that fictitious world while we still handle business with nations with real money, gold and silver. We'll do real. So yeah, I mean,
exactly.
The way they came into this game, yeah, it was all ours.
Right. And actual natural resources, gold and silver, come from the land. Crops come from the land. These things that these are actual natural resources that people, covet across the world. So this paper that can be easily printed and destroyed, which we always read in the 12 steps. Why is this something that we are so, I guess,
we put so much
value on it,
and it really has no value at all.
No value at all. Correct. Just like Chief Alligator said earlier, Bitcoin, that's stuff that people put value on. So you could pretty much make your own currency,
right?
And whoever wants to buy it, you're putting the value on it. It has no value. You're placing the value on it. So just trying to rework that and make sure we get that thought process in our heads that'll help us go a long way.
Oh, wait. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So for debt, is that true though?
Read it real slow, the first part of that sentence. This what?
This note is legal tender.
It's note. It's not money.
Not money. It's a note.
Damn, right there.
The note is saying, hey, I owe $1.
Look, I don't see anything that says note on section 10 here.
Right.
I see money, emit bills of credit, gold, silver.
Ooh, that thing says legal. This note, like a piece of paper, literally what it is.
I'm gonna throw in another term for you.
Note.
You said legal tender. What is the Constitution? Is the Constitution legal or lawful?
Lawful.
Right. So lawful money is gold and silver.
Right.
Legal, right?
Legal within this jurisdiction, this realm.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
And so what the Federal Reserve did, if you read across the top of that note, you see it says Federal Reserve Note.
Yep.
Okay. So let's just take the Center of Disease Control. Any agency can create its own policies. That's what the Federal Reserve did. Okay, we're going to create our own structure and policy and say that you can do business with this. But according to the United States government's constitution, there's only 2 forms of
gold and silver.
Gold and silver. Turn it down just a little, drop the light down a little bit.
Yeah, you good. 2 forms, gold and silver. But that's correct. But see, that's why it's so important to, I guess, make the correlation or connection between that treaty and this. And we're seeing that, hey, they're not even giving them compensation for what they're taking, their land, which is the
Right.
resource.
Right. Yeah, we'll get into that. And I wish I would have shared that last week as well on the bill we were doing, because the pimping is real what the military did through this treaty, because telling them that you're going to pay them X amount of money annually, what they really did was, we're going to take the land and we're going to make money off the cotton out of that land, the collard greens out of that land, the silver that comes out of that land, the gold that comes out of that land, and we'll just give you the IOU note.
Wow.
That you can never cash. Pretty much.
Because
The
if you,
land of make-believe.
yeah, if you look at where we are
What
today,
made them think that that was money? What made them say, 20 or 5K, sure, we'll take this for that. Sure, we'll give you our space for something I've never dealt with.
my answer to you, because they were contracting with the military, Chief Black Code,
Okay. Yep.
it was the gun.
With the military, I got with
The gun.
military operation. They weren't talking to, no loan people, no cut collectors. Yeah.
And that's going to make these articles make more sense as we understand they took the land. The supreme law of the land is the treaty. So they took the land and gave you IOU notes in return, right?
No choice. Yep.
Correct. We had Article 5. Let me see. I'll go ahead and start Article 5. Article 5, for the purpose of facilitating the removal of the said tribes to the district of country allotted them, and as a compensation for the losses sustained or the inconveniences to which they may be exposed by said removal, the United States will furnish them with rations of corn, meat, salt for 12 months, commencing on the first day of February next. I'll just go ahead and stop right here, and that pretty much goes into exactly what we were just discussing. They're pretty much going to ration off the resources that they already had as far as our people. So they're going to remove them from the land, take the resources, then ration off whatever they feel is I guess, equal or enough for their people, or for these our people in this particular area. Also, it looks like they're willing to, and this is going to start the first day of February next, and I'm believing that's next year after whenever this treaty was ratified. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're right. They're starting to just strip the land and then give them rations and small portions of what they feel is enough and substantial for them.
Right.
So I pretty much liken it to primitive food stamps. I'm gonna ration off this amount to you, and then once you finish, you'll come back. So perpetual state of being that minor, always being in need of somebody.
Yeah.
And what's interesting for me is we have to remember the American, we knew how to grow the corn, the meat, and produce the salt out of the land, right? So the European observed that, wrote down our procedures, and basically took it from us, right? Because we were doing it first.
Right.
So basically said, okay, we'll now grow the corn, kill the cows, produce the meat, and pull the salt out of the ground, and we'll send you into the middle of Florida, and then we'll give you a percentage off of what you've been doing. So basically, we're going to take your operation 100%, and we'll give you about 10-15% of what you had going on.
Yeah.
Consumers.
Pretty much strong on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Just like what we just whenever we read the Inventor.
Right.
Are we in ownership of that industry? Not anymore. We don't.
Right.
Like you said, they took out, like you said, the procedures, wrote them down, and then made it global. No credit, no compensation for our people.
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and continue. And they further agree to compensate those individuals who have been compelled to abandon improvements on lands not embraced within the limits allotted to the amount of $4,500 to be distributed among the sufferers in a ratio to each proportional to the value of the improvements abandoned. So again, dollars, not gold, not silver, pretty much the debt notes. They're going to be rationing off $4,500 to whoever they feel have made improvements to the land that they won't even pretty much take part in as far as reaping the benefits from it. So yeah, we'll go ahead and have you renovate this area, and then whatever we think is fair value for the renovation, we'll give you some compensation, but you're not even going to be living on this land or anything to reap the real benefits from it in generations to come.
Wow.
I got a point that I want to add in. That's going to be. I got a question to ask y'all. What Chief Biko just read. Did you see anything about slaves?
No.
About slaves, right?
Not at all.
So it says, who's going to do improvements on the land? Americans.
Americans.
Come on, y'all. But we're taught that slaves were doing. No, it was Americans.
Right.
Are y'all following me?
No, we following you.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was us. It was people that look just like us. And I just want to I'll say this last statement in closing and let somebody else build on this. We always see people who don't look like us. So anybody who's watching this video, the 4 people that are on this video, we are Americans, and this is copper colored skin, everybody on here. So this image of always showing people that look more Europeanish, no, it's the same people that's in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina right now. We are those people. This is the supreme law of the land telling you that Americans are going to do improvements on that land.
Yeah.
Correct. And just, I guess, to even, piggyback off of that, it's like, how can you, in the terms of slavery or a slave, how can you have somebody who's not native to this land know how to till that land?
Cultivate it.
Cultivate it,
Right,
know how to.
exactly.
Because we know that Georgia clay different from Texas,
Mhm.
or North Carolina. So you have to have people that are native to that land to know how to actually grow stuff on that land. So that's just another, I guess, food for thought, just to make sure, like, hey, we got to get out of that mindset. All right, we have generations of our people on this land.
And the fact that we were doing these things, like we weren't taught, we were the teachers.
Correct. Great point. You see here, finish off Article 5. The United States further agreed to furnish a sum not exceeding $2,000 to be expended by their agent to facilitate the transportation of the different tribes to the point of concentration designated. So it looks like they're also going to ration off $2,000 to their agent, pretty much the supervisor of that tribe, until they get to the designated area.
Right. And what happens if that agent runs off? What happens if that agent bumps heads with one of those chiefs? What's the chance you getting that fiat? See, these are all things, right? See, these are all things you got to look at. You're depending on an agent from the United States government to give you something. And look at that word concentration. Can we add camp on the end of that? You're actually going
concentration designated.
Yep, concentration designated. Yeah.
Wow.
Designated concentration camp.
Yeah, they pretty much taught us that earlier in this treaty, though. Confined and concentrated.
Correct.
I'll do the next one.
Zoom in a little bit. Okay.
Wow, yeah.
Trying to get zoom in a little bit. All right.
Article 6. An agent, sub-agent, and interpreter shall be appointed to reside within the Indian boundary, aforesaid, to watch over the interests of said tribes. It's self-explanatory to me. They got 3 different spies within their nation. They got an agent, he's got a sub-agent, and then they got an interpreter. So so basically the agent and the sub-agent would communicate with the chief, and then they got that interpreter that's going to relay back what the chief is saying. And so we can see a lot of miscommunication can happen from that interpreter. Right. So you got 2 people representing the United States government, and then you got a sellout, which would be the interpreter, because the interpreter has to speak the native language of the people. And they're working on behalf of the United States government. Anybody want to build on that?
Pretty explanatory, self-explanatory.
Yeah, the only thing that's starting to stand out to me is the word Indian. It makes more sense that they came onto the land and identified this group of people as Indians. That's not a thing that the American period, but other than that, I'll add that to that.
Yeah, already starting to the identity crisis, pretty much already starting to put that into play. So you can see on this treaty. But definitely a lot of things can be lost in translation, like you said, and when you have multiple people giving supposed to be the same message, then you don't know those people's what they have true in mind that's probably going to benefit them most, especially not the actual Americans. They could care less about anything that'll benefit them. So you can see how there can be a lot of things misconstrued.
Right. And like you said, the interpreter had to be a sellout because they had to know the native tongue. So they were more so siding with the agent and the sub-agent in regards to what message they would convey to the natives, to the Americans.
Bad promises too. But wow, an agent, a sub-agent,
right?
Interpreter. So we're gonna make sure, that's again the structure.
Yeah, organized.
All right, and the United States further stipulate as an evidence of their humane policy towards said tribes who have appealed to their liberality to allow for the establishment of a school at the agency. $1,000 per year for 20 successive years. So here the United States government is basically trying to say, hey, we're so humane, we're going to let you establish a school. And from my research, personally, this is the biggest weapon used against the American. It's the school. Because once we go to school, we're taught, and it's sad to say this, but we're taught about people who are not American. The Paul Bunyans, the old Susans,
Columbus.
Yeah, nothing American. And so they wanted to make sure we're going to indoctrinate you and put a school so we can school you or train you moving forward. We want your kids.
Right.
Train you to hate yourself.
Yeah.
Legal definitions. Yeah. School, any institution that which instruction is given in a particular discipline, their discipline was to make sure that you forget everything about yourself.
Boom.
AKA why we do our Black Inventor at the beginning of every class, because going into that school, learn about everything else, you forget who you are. You forget, did I ever do something in life? So now you looking up to, make believe when you're really the guy or whatever you want to interpret yourself as, the real American, the real genius, the real inventor.
Correct. Great point.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to raise my hand and admit that I too was mentally sick. And all of us have to admit that we need to recover mentally because of what Chief Black just said. We don't even know who our lords and our creators are.
Right.
How is school not teaching us anything about who we are? But you'll tell me that my ancestors came from another landmass in the bottom of a ship.
Right.
Yeah. Nah, exactly. You could tell us that, but you can't tell us nothing else. Okay.
Exactly.
Not listening to anything you have to say after that.
K through 12.
Yep.
All right. Where am I at? Okay. And $1,000 per year for the same period for the support of a gun and blacksmith with the expenses incidental to his shop. So here, they're basically fronting this business owner or these skilled tradesmen. Those that did guns and blacksmith, they're going to give them $1,000 per year. And they'll also pick up the expenses incidental to the shop, right? So tools that break, supplies get lost or whatever, they're saying, we'll catch that up.
Wow.
I'll do the next one as well if y'all want me to.
Okay.
All right. The chiefs and warriors aforesaid for themselves and tribes stipulate to be active and vigilant in the preventing, the retreating to, or passing through of the district of country assigned them of any absconding slaves. Now, I want to share, and we'll get into this in the summary because we didn't go into the battles of this war. But what took place here, and I want to be clear for the world, what they're calling a slave is actual Americans. So what the European did was concentrated the chiefs that wanted to go into treaty. When they put them in the center of Florida, they were then going back and kidnapping their kids and putting them on plantations. And then they would come back and bum rush the plantations to get their people back. And so this is how the second war starts after this treaty. So I'm throwing this in because that's what they were doing. They were isolating you from the area you were that you were familiar with, and then they would come right back and try to steal your women and your kids. And so what they never tell us in history is that outside of slave rebellions, people rebelling on plantations, there was also nations and tribes pulling up on plantations, getting their people back. And somebody else can build on that.
Correct. Then also, I guess you can even say a slave can be a prisoner of war. We just, like you stated, this was battle. So whoever we capture in that battle would then usually be turned into a slave or have to work on these different plantations. And as Chief Alligator stated, there's been many battles, wars, Yamasee War, where our people was pulling up on plantations in Charleston, making it hell for them, burning everything, making sure they got their people back, got our people back. So it's one thing you just have to keep in mind. Slave or fugitive from justice.
Right, basically, it's their wordplay, basically. How they interchanging the words, but when they're teaching us or taught us in school, it was this, I mean, just the whole perception of the whole storyline, now that we're reading it, doesn't make sense of what they taught us. So that's a good way to.
Day, this is all still war. So that's Chief Alligator and Chief Eco saying, yeah, anybody that got captured became a prisoner of war on whoever camp they was on, the European prisoner of war or the American prisoner of war. But at the end of the day, yeah, wars. This is, as I'm reading, this is agreements with different, nations and tribes trying to be. But at the end of the day, it's still mad faces. They're still, looking at these European eyes like, whatever. So it was never no. Okay.
And what Chief Blackcoat just said, let me play devil's advocate. Let's say that I'm a European and I'm a liar. Let's say I pull up in that concentrated area where y'all at, and I say, hey, I got 15 kids that ran away from such and such plantation. Now, I'm lying now. Follow me, I'm lying. But because I know the stipulations in the treaty, let's say I try to go on your tribe and say, well, I want them 15 right there. And then the family like, no, these my kid. No, they ran. And so you can see
they ran outside this border.
Right.
Type of thing. Yeah, for real. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened a lot of the times, because we'll see later as we build that there was wars after this. So it's not like, everything was all
Exactly.
sunshine and rainbows after this. So we could see that it's definitely something that was plausible.
And I'm saying that from a personal experience with a family member that just triggered that thought that slave patrol came into our community when I was young, and I remember them taking my uncle, and they were accusing him of certain stuff, and it took 10 years in prison to find out he wasn't the one. So it started here in the treaties. They just roll up on your land and say, hey, we need them 15 people over there. They're wanted for something. You're lying.
Correct.
I mean, and I was going to say that. I was going to add today, nothing has changed today. You know, up north, they just had to get rid of the pat down, the stop and frisk. You know, what is that? Hey, we're suspicious. I need in the jailhouse.
Exactly.
You know, little stupid things, but again, 2021, August 8th, change.
Because what does the 13th Amendment say? Slavery is illegal unless found guilty of a crime or punishable of a crime.
Right.
Convicted of a felony.
Convicted of a felony. So, hey, same thing. You were found outside of your borders. I'm coming in to get you're mine.
Hot spots.
Exactly.
Hot spots.
Yeah.
Let's see, where am I at? Okay. Let me go. Okay. Of the district or county assigned them of and absconding slaves or fugitives from justice, and further agree to use all necessary exertions to apprehend and deliver the same to the agent. So not only can you not allow quote unquote fugitives from justice or slaves through your district or county, you also have to apprehend and deliver them to the agent. So you also got to go catch our people too. So now here's another catch-22. Well, we got 15 people in your tribe that we ran away from this plantation down 15 miles down the road. Why didn't you bring them to us? You're in breach of our treaty. You see the game?
Yeah.
Got you on two fronts.
Right.
You're supposed to bring them.
Double edge.
Correct.
Who shall receive orders to compensate them agreeably to the trouble and expenses incurred. Yeah, so they got you both ways. If we accuse one of your family members of running away from a plantation, you in violation because they're in your district or county. And if you don't put the energy toward to bring them back to your agent, you're in violation of it. So it's a lose-lose.
And you can kind of even see how that even caused conflict within the nation itself.
Right.
Like
exactly.
Say your child or somebody was off at a neighbor's house. They ain't come home. Now some white man, some European comes on and say, that child was here, this is mine. And you like, well, damn, no, I thought they was at my neighbor. So it's like you even putting a conflict amongst the tribe, which is in itself going pretty much disrupt or cause disruption.
It's so crazy that 2020 is so beneficial to us because, like Chief Blackcoat said a couple of minutes ago, nothing's changed. Like this is the blueprint of what they're doing today. Coming in your neighborhood, accusing you of anything they want to, and 20 years, 30 years, 40 years later, come to find out you innocent.
Exactly.
They didn't already got the work out of you.
Somebody else pick up.
I will. A commissioner or commissioners with a surveyor shall be appointed by the President of the United States to run and mark blazing for and aft the trees, the line as defined in the second article of this treaty, who shall be attended by a chief or warrior to designate by a council of their tribes, and who shall receive while employed a daily compensation of $3. So basically they're just reinforcing the boundaries that they mentioned in the article, or was it in the previous article, making it known like these are the boundaries basically, and they use the surveyor to assist with that.
Right, and they're giving landmarks with the blazing for and after trees. They're going to put physical landmarks on trees so that hey, you passed that tree,
right,
back on your land.
and paying them the compensation of $3. So it's an incentive for them to make sure that they catch and return the people who are outside of those boundaries.
And there's a term in Florida that is always widely known, and this probably comes from this, and it's called being roped off. I believe it comes from these treaties.
Wow.
That's a term that's used like if them people lock you up or catch you, like, yeah, man, rope such and such off.
Yeah.
I believe it comes from this.
That's crazy. Wow.
I think Chief Alligator say it all the time.
He do.
History don't repeat itself, but it wrong.
Oh yeah, right.
So it, as I'm reading this, it looks like today.
Yeah,
it looks like today.
All right, I'll continue on. So, Article 9, the undersigned chiefs and warriors for themselves and tribes have objected to their concentration within the limits described in the second article of this treaty, under the impression that the said limits did not contain a sufficient quantity of good land to subsist them. So basically, the boundaries that were set, they feel that it wasn't good land. It wasn't a good sufficient quantity of land for them. Yeah.
Correct. So, this is where it's about to go back down again. So what you're reading here is, now that they've been roped off and put in the middle of Florida, they're realizing we can't grow what we were growing where we were. And so now objecting to, hey, we don't want to be in these meets and boundaries. And so it's about to pop off again. They basically moved them into the swamp or the Everglades area. You can't grow, you can't grow nothing in the Everglades. Basically, you put them in, I'm gonna say alligator country because the whole state is alligator, but yeah, you put them in the Everglades, you pretty much like in the heart of alligator country. They're like, figure it out.
And
I was going to ask that.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask that too, just to see, have you speak on that, Chief Alligator. What's that land pretty much was that they gave him, since it was central Florida?
Swamp.
And for no other reason, it is therefore expressly understood between the United States and the aforesaid chiefs and warriors that should the country embraced in the said limit and the commissioner or commissioners to be appointed under the 8th article of this treaty. Wait, let me just go a little further. Be by them considered insufficient for the support of the said Indian tribes. So basically, I have to read that again, I'm sorry.
See, looks like it's reading like a clause, pretty much. Like anything, if they feel that the land given wasn't livable or anything, they'll have to pretty much reach out to that native agent and commissioner for approval.
That makes sense. Then the north line, as defined in the 2nd article of this treaty, shall be removed so far north as to embrace a sufficient quantity of good tillable land. So basically, they, like you said, once they do reach out to the commissioner, they would move that line further north to encompass more good, better land, basically.
Correct.
And just to build on what that first part that you read off a lot. But yeah, those chiefs and warriors, when they went down into the swamp, they basically were like, we can't do nothing with this land. And so then they went back to the United States government and was like, we need to move that line more north. We need to get out of Central Florida. And so that's pretty much what they're agreeing to now is, okay, we'll bring you out of the swamp a little bit. But that they're not even gonna hear that.
Correct. They still got to go through the agent and commissioner to have them even deem it, necessary to even add any portion or add that additional land to the north if needed. They still have to go through the agent and commissioner.
And that last sentence that she read, where that comma is, where it says shall be removed so far north as to embrace a sufficient quantity of good tillable land. They couldn't till nothing in the swamp.
Right.
So they were trying to starve them out.
Yeah.
I love going home to Savannah because it's a lot of swamp area back there.
Mhm.
And I'm out there and I learn history and I'm running around and I'm seeing everything and I'm like, wow, you know, all of this is what we're reading. You can just see it. You can envision it with all the swamp trees and all these areas, and you look at it, you can't cultivate that land. There's nothing you can do with
Yeah.
that. It's damn near
Wow.
Too moist.
Too
Yeah.
moist. You know, gnat, bugs. It's so the conditions our people was in, our ancestors, I already know is terrible wherever they confined them to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Article 10.
All righty.
Yeah.
You want me to go? Okay.
Don't read the whole thing, Chief Quietwater. You like to read the whole article.
The undersigned chief and warriors for themselves and tribes have expressed to the commissioners their unlimited confidence in their agent, Colonel Gad Humphreys. So basically, they're expressing that they have confidence in their agent, basically, the chiefs and warriors, right? Is that what it's saying?
Mm.
They do have confidence, unlimited confidence.
That's what it's saying.
That's
At the same time, that's what he's supposed to do as an agent.
right.
He's a salesman on behalf of the United States government. So
Right.
our ancestors didn't realize he's their biggest enemy because he's close.
Exactly. Okay. And their interpreter, Stephen Richards, and as an evidence of their gratitude for their services and humane treatment and brotherly attentions to their wants, which that's kind of like a smoke and mirror right now. They're not realizing that they're really not working on their behalf, basically.
I was gonna say, shoot, it kind of reads as though, because we already know from before how many people they had to have go through the agent, sub-agent, interpreter. You know, these people seem like they working for themselves. They have their own agendas.
Mhm.
So they probably ain't even tell them they can get 1 mile of square land. They probably just do that shit in themselves. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
And it's really, to me, that's really why you have the agent, the sub-agent, and the interpreter. You know, this information not even supposed to get past somebody.
Right. Okay.
Where we at?
Okay, let's see here.
Humphreys.
Colonel Gad Humphreys and their interpreter, Stephen Richards, and as an evidence of their gratitude for their services and humane treatment and brotherly attentions to their wants, request that 1 mile square embracing the improvements of the Enahi Martha at Tallahassee. Said improvements to be considered as center be conveyed in fee simple.
No, finish that last part.
Okay, as a present to Colonel Gad Humphreys. What is that saying? Can you go up just a little bit?
Yeah, for me, it shows how horrible this deal is, because if I'm negotiating a term,
okay,
and you selling me a car, and then if you're the agent that's selling me a car, I'm not going to turn around and give you the wheels off my car.
Right.
Because they're being put in a particular piece of land.
Right.
Why would you give the agent 1 square mile of your land?
Yeah, you already have a limited amount. You just said in the last article, you didn't have no tillable land, so you had to go to this agent and that's probably the only reason why they probably would extend that border to the north, so they can get that as the agent, the interpreter, you see.
So I'm gonna say he lied. I'm gonna say the agent lied, because if Florida was mine, right? And you're roping me off. Now you're telling me, well, Florida's not yours anymore. You're gonna be here. Why would I give somebody outside of our group of people a mile within the limited area that it don't make sense
at all.
Wow. Okay, and they further request that 1 mile square at the Ohese Bluffs embracing Stephen Richards Field on said bluffs be,
Let me go to this one.
okay,
Should be. Should be conveyed.
okay. And fee simple,
See, it's going back up. Oh, it's just so small.
yeah. May have to put on my reading glasses.
I can see it.
See it? Supposed to be going up.
Just try to probably zoom in all the way as much as possible and then try to drag it.
Yeah, okay,
It's that open width part that keeps messing.
right.
Yeah.
So minimize it 1 notch. Hit zoom back 1 time. Boom. I can see that.
Okay,
Okay. Conveyed in fee simple as a present to said Stephen Richards. So my question to Chief Blackcoat is, give me and the world an idea of who is the colonel in the military structure, because they just gave the colonel a square mile of their land. So we're in the ranking structure. What is a colonel?
Colonel will probably be your highest ranking officer. He oversees everything, all operations. He's pretty much your treasurer in military world. He does he goes over the numbers, he goes over everything, the plan, the detail. He's that officer. That's pretty much officer's job. And then your enlistment, they're warriors, they're warlords, they execute. So your colonel makes sense. Why give him all that land, all that space? He's the biggest person in charge right now. He's the highest rank officer.
Okay.
Wow.
So
He's in charge of the operation.
Okay, so the colonel got a square mile out of this deal. And then Stephen Richards, also the agent, gets land, right? This doesn't even make sense. Because
right.
you're roping me off. Why am I giving back land and you already, it don't make sense.
Why am I giving land at all?
Yeah.
Period, right.
Like you said, Chief Blackcoat, it kind of, when you said he's pretty much the man over everything, kind of, I guess, liken it to what is the prison, what are they called?
Warden.
The warden. Because it seems like, okay, this is their land, but I'm gonna set up shop on their land to make sure, kind of almost like a fort, the beginnings of a fort for this area, setting up those points.
All right. It says the commissioners accord in sentiment with the undersigned chiefs and warriors and recommend a compliance with their wishes to the President and Senate of the United States. So once they got this deal all settled, where I'm gonna get 1 square mile, Stephen Richards gonna get a mile, okay, we'll bring you a little bit north out of the swamp. Now they're gonna relay those documents to the Senate and the president. And so I'm going back to chess. On that back row on the chessboard, you got your knight, your rook, your bishop, your queen, and your king. The knight on the European side has checkmated the king of our ancestors. That colonel put the king in checkmate.
Checkmated the chief. Yeah.
So let's see, but the disapproval on the part of the said authorities of this article shall in no wise affect the other articles and stipulations concluded on in this treaty. So basically, if they don't agree for the colonel and Stephen Richards to get land, right, everything else is still in place.
That's operation.
Right. Everything else gonna be on lock. If they don't want to give you the land, if the government doesn't agree to give you the land, everything else in place. Y'all want to build on that?
Could you expand on that? What do you mean by everything is still in place?
Okay. Let me reread. So the commissioners accord in sentiment with the undersigned chiefs, because right now the article that we're reading, all they're doing is agreeing to what Europeans are going to give land out of where they're confined.
Okay.
So the commissioners accord in sentiment with the undersigned chiefs and warriors and recommend a compliance with their wishes to the President and Senate of the United States. So they're basically saying, hey, Colonel, send this to your President and your Senate and let them know that we're okay with you having 1 square mile and Stephen Richards having their land.
Mm-hmm.
But the disapproval.
My bad, go ahead.
Then it says, but the disapproval on the part of the said authorities of this article shall in no wise affect the other articles and stipulations concluded on in this treaty.
Thing's still in place.
Yeah. Okay. So whether or not they get that land approved,
It don't even matter.
doesn't matter
Right.
in regards to everything else that we done listed in these articles 1 through 9.
Is gonna tell the tribe where yeah.
Okay, you said the sub-agents on what?
Know what I'm saying? You know, they sent whoever they sent that up to, and they said, you know what? No, that we not allotting all that land to you guys. It didn't even matter because by the time we got to the interpreter, from that agent to that sub-agent, come from that colonel, whatever the colonel said, colonel in charge right now. You know, the soldiers listening to him, so they're not even getting that work again.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really didn't even matter if they got it approved or not, pretty much.
Like Chief Alligator said, it's still in motion. Everything's still in place.
Gotcha.
All right, so in testimony whereof the commissioners, William P. Duval, James Gadsden, and Bernard Sugi, and the undersigned chiefs and warriors have hereunto subscribed their names and affixed their seals, done at camp on Moultrie Creek in the territory of Florida, this 18th day of September, 1863, and of the independence of the United States, the 48th. This is very key for me because my mom was in the military when I was born. I was born in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida.
Wow.
Where did Duval County get its name from? William P. Duval, right here.
Yep.
And so
Wow.
I'm saying that to say that this is a prime example of how people that grew up in Duval County, that rep Duval County,
Don't even know what they repping.
you're putting a curse on yourself because that was your ancestors' enemy and you don't even know it.
Wow.
All day, every day. Same with Grady. Same with James Oglethorpe Mall.
Everything. And that's what we go back to where we were saying
I didn't know he had a mall.
discipline.
Yeah,
Who got a mall?
Oglethorpe Mall. That's right there in Savannah. That's part of their main. That's the main mall.
Wow.
Wow, look at the irony of that.
Wow. How did we miss that?
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The main mall. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Savannah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes sense.
It makes sense.
I never. So yeah.
Only if we knew from a young age, the narrative would definitely not be what it is.
That's what I was gonna say. That schooling. Yep, the schools,
Mhm.
their discipline. They taught us what they wanted to teach us, and like Chief Blackcoat said, we forgot who we were.
Right.
So
Distracted.
let's do this real quick. If we look at the signatures, we see the top 3, and you see number 1 is William P. Duval, which we know Duval County is named after this warlord.
And he had the biggest, effect in this area. I would say. Who was William P. Duval acting as? Who is he right now?
Commissioner.
Commissioner.
He was a commissioner. Then James Gadsden was the colonel.
Okay, and Jane okay.
And then Bernard Sugi. So you got 3 Europeans, and look how many Americans they were able to get to sign that treaty.
Wow.
You see that?
Wow.
Now let's look at signed, sealed, and delivered in the presence of. You got the secretary. You got to have a secretary to take the minutes, right? George Murray. You got Humphreys, an American agent on behalf of the United States government. Stephen Richards, the interpreter. Isaac N. Cox, J. Irvin, Captain, 4th Artillery, Harvey Brown, 4th Artillery. So understand what's around you while you're signing this document. You got all kind of warlords around you.
Right.
Meaning their soldiers are behind them. Artillery is your big boy. That's your tanks and stuff. So they weren't playing around. You know, they got these people surrounded, and now I'm seeing why they were able to execute this land.
Jeez.
So we got these tanks, we got all of it. What are you gonna do?
So back then, what would it be, Chief Blackcoat? Because there were no tanks in 1823. So
Well,
artillery from a historic army standpoint.
whatever your missiles, anything, any type of bombing gun,
cannons or something.
cannons, you know, anything in your strong power, right?
Got you. Damn. That kind of.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, it's like they were, with all of that around them, they probably did it willingly.
I mean, they're blowing this land up. I know they are.
Yeah.
They're destroying it.
Seeing stuff they probably never seen before.
Right.
I even kind of liken it to like I guess when you been charged or something and they got the fugitive or the prisoner like signing stuff, and you got your lawyer, but then you got probably the chief of police or whoever is like off. Like I just liken that to this, like, damn, they got the lieutenant, artillery, like everybody, they have their people there, but who do we have? You know,
they have what?
I was just gonna say they have their structure. You know, they have their structure.
Yeah.
That's the only advantage they had against us. You know, us being a native people, more spiritual, probably in this world, most definitely during this time. You know, we never were on that type of time.
Exactly.
But we always defended stuff, but now it's a lot different.
And we got a couple of more people. Artillery, just wanted to finish off. C.D. Evansville, Lieutenant, 4th Artillery, and Jano B. Scott, Lieutenant, 4th Artillery. William Travers and Horatio X. Dexter. Those for the world to see. I'm sure somebody's going to take a screenshot. What I would suggest, we didn't do this, but this is just throwing an idea out there to people that are watching this and looking at this document. Do a search on all of these Americans that signed this treaty to get a better understanding of who they were. Okay? Because this is our history. These are the first people that tapped out. These are the first ones. They tapped out. And understand that there are a lot more chiefs that did not sign this document.
Right.
Just because these leaders of their people, tribes, decided to sign that document, that doesn't mean that we got to understand that everybody didn't tap out. Just these tribes tapped out. Is there something at the bottom of this, or that was it?
That was it, I believe. Additional article.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. So we'll have to probably finish that next week.
Okay. For the use of Neo. Looks like this is more so about the Chiefs.
Because I wanted, because I see the mention of a mulatto king in here. And so what we also have to understand is, yes, the government structure was confederacy. Nations make a confederacy, tribes make nations, but we also see there was kingdoms, because in order to be a king, you got to have kingdoms.
Correct.
But we also had kings on this land too. We need to understand that.
Great point. Great point.
You want to, since we touched on that confederacy, you want to kind of.
Yes. Was looking back. I know us on this actual channel had seen this prior, but I definitely want to make sure the viewers are able to see this as well. Going to back out here. So in regards to confederacy, move here. This is why we have that name, the Lost Confederacy. You take a look at this flag here. These are all Native American tribes or nations. Shiloh, Black Land, Chickamauga. And then if we also take a look at pretty much the Confederacy flag that you'll see nowadays, they took everything verbatim. They ain't even changed the color, barely changed the name. So I just want the viewer to understand when we say the Lost Confederacy, this is the Lost Confederacy. They took our identity and made it theirs, switched the narrative to make them rednecks. So we probably distance ourselves from it, but this is our history. So Articles of Confederation, things of that nature, we were the ones who had an Article of Confederation. They took it, copied the process down step by step, then made it their own or made one similar to it. Let me see if I can pull up the one that's pretty much the same thing, but now you have fort names. Let's see if I get to it.
This is so self-explanatory. It's powerful because I know a lot of our people, they'll look at us and say, Confederacy, what are they talking about? It just shows that they made us niggas. That's what makes us niggas, because we're disconnected from our American history.
Yeah.
Why is it still showing that? Let me get back here. And then bam. Why is it not popping up? Can you all see it?
Wow,
Nothing.
that's crazy.
Nothing different.
Wow. That's insane.
Nothing different. You even see it, this one on when they stormed the Capitol, waving our flag.
Right.
Appreciate you representing, but now we're gonna need that back.
But it's mockery. Everything they do today is mockery.
Right,
Mockery.
exactly. And it's because, again, we don't know. We don't know.
They mock you all day, laugh about it, joke about it, walk past you with it. You don't even know.
Yeah. We
It's
can't even get offended because we don't know.
it's kind of like when gangs beat somebody ass and you take their flag and you like, yeah, I got your flag.
Right.
They set tripping them, or they throwing up something that's not theirs. We need to check these folks. Just like Chief Blackcoat said, just like a gang member. If you were a Crip and you saw somebody who wasn't affiliated with it throwing up the sign, what they gonna do? They gonna check them. So we have to come with that same energy.
And if I could just throw one thing in, Chief Biko, just crossed my mind with this. Because they were the low class from Europe, the peasants, we have to understand that that's why they want who we are. Like, let's really understand that they're living lies.
They had no lineage.
They don't come from inventors and they don't have that history. So I understand why everything that we have, they want to claim it for their own. I'll go one step further. When Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or any of these politicians today mention, I'm an American in our country, why do you never hear Native Americans that are on reservations clap back and say, you're not an American? Because the treaty bound them. You're underneath the United States government. So say to the world that we're the American and you can't say nothing. Y'all ever thought about that? Why you never hear real Americans on Native reservations say, you're not American?
Right.
At all. Never hear it. Might get a snippet of video, but not from anybody on the reservations.
Because if anybody knew, they would know, because you're still on reservations.
Say that again?
If anybody knew, they would know because it's still on the reservation.
Right.
So
they definitely know for sure. That's their history.
Right. Our history.
You never hear them say anything.
Talk about it. It's part of the deal. It's the only answer. I get the casinos. I get the shows. I get contracts with all these things and this income to come in as long as I stay hush hush. They get reparations.
We had a good point discussion we was talking about earlier. They pretty much parallel with us. The ones who surrendered are pretty much in the same boat as the ones who didn't, which would be us, since we didn't go west of the Mississippi River. So Chief Alligator said earlier, the only thing they got to keep was the culture, the language, and that was it.
Wow.
Everything else, like he said, it falls underneath the jurisdiction of the United States. So
the language is the main piece. That communication, no longer having that communication with each other no longer complain, gotta speak in their tongue. Now they know everything. Now we talk like them, act like them.
Correct.
In a sense, you know. So the language barrier was huge.
And that's something I challenge any Native American that is on a reservation or a part of the quote unquote 5 civilized tribes. I challenge y'all. Make a video about your living conditions on a reservation, because based on my research, a reservation is similar to what a ghetto was. That's what Chief Biko was saying. We run parallel. Just because you went south, just because you went west of the Mississippi, the same way you've been living since you ran, and our ancestors didn't, and we still fighting today.
Do that same thing.
We going through the same thing. You just still speak our language, but it's like we're that child that was born out of wedlock.
Great point.
We're the group of people that were born out of wedlock, and so it's like you got 2 kids. You got one with your wife, and you got one with your baby mama. The kid you got with your wife gets all the special treatment. The kid that's born by your baby mama gets neglected. We're the group of people that got neglected. Our family is in Oklahoma. And so y'all want to act like we don't exist, but we don't caught on to your game.
Correct.
We ran. That's why the world vibes off us.
Facts.
You understand? That's why the world vibes off us. Everybody vibes off us because they know we the only group of people that did not contract with the European. It was on site since the Civil War. We catch them slipping, we were killing them too. If they caught us slipping, they were hanging us, taking land. It's been like that till the civil rights of 1965. The federal government said, y'all down in the South got to start being civil because y'all been fighting since the Seminole War. Anybody else want to build on that? Man,
since the early 1800s,
the truth gotta come out. These people just hide in Oklahoma and act like we not the realest of the bloodline.
Correct. You see, they portray the Americans who sold out as what? In cartoons, drunkards. Drunkards, you know what I'm saying? Same thing that we see for the ones who didn't sell out, a liquor store in every corner. They going through the same stuff. So it's like, damn, at what point do you step up as a group of people and be like,
together,
that, let's take our shit back. We know we did some fucked up shit. We sold out, but hey, we ready now. We understood. We see we've contracted with the devil. So let's make amends by getting our people. You know what I'm saying? Why hasn't that been a thought process?
That income coming in.
Still worry about that fiat.
But there is no money.
Exactly.
So look,
they have their black caucus as well. I'm pretty sure they have. You know what I'm saying? That same, they dealing with
their
the same
tribal
shit.
courts and all that stuff.
So great. Yeah, we're gonna unpack this thing, and you know, it's a family affair. It's the dirty secrets in the family. But the truth of the matter is, y'all know we invented rock and roll, we invented blues, we invented jazz, we invented hip hop, and the world always vibes off our frequency. Why? The world knows that we're the ones that didn't go west of the Mississippi River. We stood 10 toes down. Y'all ran to Oklahoma, and y'all want to act like we ain't family, and we family. It's all good. Y'all just got to give up the throne to the real ones. It's all good. But you thought you gonna run and just hide up under the bed like we don't exist. It's all happening. The truth not happening. The truth finna come out, man. The audacity, and some of them will call us black. Some of them will call their own family black. I'm telling you, it's like being married with a child and having a baby mama with and have one child get special treatment, the one in Oklahoma, and then the blacks.
But like you stated, what leader has come out of that camp?
None.
What exactly?
None.
You got MLK, you got Malcolm, you got all these different leaders, the Black Panthers, Frederick Douglass. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
Everybody, like you said, everybody vibes off of us. So hey, get in line at this point. Get in line.
What's your thoughts on that, Chief Black Coat and Chief Quiet Water? Like that's the dirty secret. The dirty secret is y'all act like we're not family. Like y'all been.
I agree 100%. I mean, I agree 100%. It's they've been silent, you know, and not wanting to recognize us, but we were the ones who fought and still fighting today, while they're quietly living, but like Chief Black Coat said, we're running parallels, same thing, going through the same struggle. So I agree with everything that you guys were saying.
Chief Black Coat, we running low over, but go ahead, Chief Black Coat.
Yeah, no, Chief Pico and Chief Alligator was vibing. Pretty much the truth is gonna come out. We're gonna see a whole bunch of coincidences coming up this week. Things just popping around and woo, you know, like what? So again, the truth gonna come out, and like back to what Chief Alligator said, some of them would even call us black. So it's like everybody is sick at this point, you know. So this recovery is needed. People watch these videos, it's like, oh, recover. Well, what is
right?
Recover, you know, understanding what is going on right now. So
this what we're doing is the real vaccine to actually heal us.
Right.
That jab, nah, you just going along with the get along. This is the real vaccine. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously,
this will shake you up for
this
real.
is the shit that'll heal you, help you elevate. Like for real.
Woo! We're gonna end on that one, Chief Pico. You can drop the mic on that one.
Hey man.
Got to.
Shoot.